fairly early in the morning. Both of us are running new rear tires and old fronts, so I'm being pretty ginger in the turns because I don't really know what my grip level is going to be. The rear has quite a bit more traction than the front, so it tends to kind of push it out. It turned out to be a pretty good combination. This is the first rocky area, and I know that I want to be up higher because there's a nice path through there. So I find a good place, run through it. There's been a lot of 4x4 and bike traffic out here, and they haven't opened the dam in a long time, and it's been very dry. So the riverbed is very different from what I saw it last time.
I want to air down his tire.
What was that?
Get some air out of this tire.
Oh yeah. Once I heard you speak, I was already committed.
Exactly. Big difference already compared to Tim.
Oh, I saw you on the road.
It's like this way, this way, this way. Just keep going. And this is was. Oh, but the wear. Oh.
We got out to this waterfall fairly easily, so I cut out all of that footage. With higher traffic, the riverbed is much easier. So this looks very deep, and I took a minute to decide which way to go because it's deep on the right and deep on the left. And if you go in one of those holes, you'll bog for sure. The key is to attack it with gusto and determination. This one is pretty much the same. It's deep, but short.
I say. We can. It's very cool. Maybe we keep going first, and then we can rest. Come back when it's hot.
So this waterfall is as far as we got last time. But this time we got much farther. This is just a gorgeous little place, but it's very narrow, and if you notice the high water mark, the water must absolutely fly through here when the dam's open. Behan really likes to open it up when there's space. His bike is basically a desert racer. So he ended up over in the big rocks, so I crossed and took the easier path. This area is the hardest on the whole river. The rocks are huge and they're everywhere. There is no easy path, and even if you weave back and forth a lot, it's always hard. There's just enough water for it to be a little bit sketchy. The rocks that are underwater are very, very slick. So I lost the front here on a big flat slick rock, and I ended up upside down with my ankle caught underneath my bike. It took me a minute to get out. You can see how difficult it is to go over these big rocks. It's always a struggle. This is through the hardest bit, and then you just give it some gas and head up. This isn't too difficult, but you're fairly fatigued, and the rocks are a little tricky. Another deep river crossing, and the best technique is to line it up well and carry good momentum through it. You don't want to get bogged down in the middle. So this track takes you right up on top, and then it just sort of ends.
Before you go down over here, we
Go on the other side there?
we ended up way up here in the rocks.
Get down.
I think that's what we did before. There was a road before through here.
There's definitely
Around.
some tracks over here.
The rocks are big, and this looks like quite a scary drop, but he's not too bothered by it. We're almost to the big waterfall that's halfway to Shui Li when everything goes sideways. I was looking ahead, picking my line through the rocks, and I didn't see the long piece of rebar sticking out. It pulled me straight to the ground hard, and I got up a little bit confused. Then I saw the long piece of metal, and I realized what had happened. I instantly felt that something was wrong with my leg. It was tingly and felt strange. I picked up the bike and I wrestled with it to get it to a position where I could prop it up. I beeped the horn trying to get a hold of my friend, but he couldn't hear me. Once I figured the bike situation out, I took off my boot and examined my wound, flushed it with water, and then we patched it up. We didn't have real medical supplies, so we just used some napkins and things. It actually didn't hurt at first, and we rode onto the waterfall to check it out. I was very careful from here on out because I didn't want to get my leg wet or injured any worse. I figured river water would be very bad for the wound. We headed back, and these rocks are the first big obstacle. They're wet coming out and it's steep. I picked a different line farther down, but that put me at a bad angle, and I got hung up on some rocks. this area, it's difficult to find where to go. I was trying to go up higher because I knew there was a path up there, but I ended up hitting the biggest rocks. I should have gone low where Vehan went, but I wasn't sure if that would end up being it. This is a huge rock slide of fine sand and rock that's much larger than it was the last time I was here. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're back at the crux, the hardest point of this side of the river. You can see there's rocks everywhere. They're very slick, so you can't go fast and use momentum. If your balance is off and you put your foot in the wrong place, you go over. Vehan is running a Kinda Ibex Trials base tire, and it doesn't like the sand. It keeps on digging down. The Ibex is much more capable on the slick rocks, where I struggle, but I'm better in the loose stuff. Tires are extremely important, and you'll never have a tire that's good at everything. I picked my way through this fairly quickly. It took Vehan some time, and he kept digging holes with his tire. These sharp turns and slick rocks are scary. What makes this riverbed special is just the absolute wildness of it and how brutal it is to do anything. You struggle and you strain and you struggle some more. And many times you wonder if you're going to make it out. You wonder how in the world you're going to drag your bike over all these millions of rocks. This is hard to find in Taiwan. Most trails are very near civilization, and you know you can easily hobble out on one foot if you need to, but not this place. This place is wild. When he bogged the rear of the bike down here, I was convinced he was stuck and needed help, so I began walking back. By this point, my leg was hurting quite a lot, and it took a lot of effort for me to walk back over the rocks. Once he got out of the loose sand, he cleared it pretty quickly without too much trouble. That's good because I would have struggled to help him. Here's the first big waterfall that is the bane of our existence. Last time, we struggled here for some time. Getting out of this is always difficult because the sand is loose, the rocks are big, and it's very steep. I never can seem to hit it with enough momentum to get out without a struggle. I realized that he is struggling and his bike has shut off, so I went back to help. Turns out it was struggling with a cold engine and poor spark. but it took us a while to get it going.
So we're here at our favorite waterfall where we had trouble last time, and his bike shut off and didn't want to keep running, but we've got it running again. I've got a hurt leg, and it feels worse and worse, so we're gonna try and get out of here.
When I took the fall that injured me, I had pulled the starter wires out of the switch, and so I kick-started it every single time with my bad leg. By the end, I pretty much couldn't do it anymore, and I had to do it with my left leg. My ankle and knee were hurting, along with my shin where I had a chunk of flesh taken out. I was so relieved to get out of the riverbed, as is the case many times out of this riverbed. For some reason, I can't help but come back for more. The challenge of this riverbed is just the sheer length and